And now Lynn Budd, Director of the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security.
Good morning, Chairman Barrasso, Minority Ranking Member Carper, and distinguished members of the committee. My name is Lynn Budd. I'm the Director of the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security. We are a Homeland Security and Emergency Management agency for the state of Wyoming. We support local jurisdictions in times of emergency and disaster through the coordination of state agency resources and facilitate assistance from our federal partners. In Wyoming, the most frequent natural disaster events that we face are flooding due to ice jams, spring runoff, and flash flooding. Less frequently, tornadoes, landslides, and wildfires. Wyoming works with 3 core districts, Omaha, Sacramento, and Walla Walla. As a headwater state, our water passes through approximately 2/3 of the landmass of the lower 48 states, and we take our stewardship of these waters very seriously. When we think about spring flooding, our focus starts in October as we begin to monitor snowpack levels across the state. In addition to monitoring snowpack levels, we closely monitor seasonal weather developments in coordination with Jim Fahey, our NOAA hydrologist, who tailors a flood forecasting outlook for Wyoming. This is an annual cycle for us. Stream gauge data is critical to flood forecasting and flood prediction, life safety, and property protection. The committee's inclusion of Section 1203F within OEA directed expedited activities to restore and maintain existing mid and high-level elevation snowpack monitoring sites operated under the SNOTEL program, which is very important to our state. Not only do these SNOTELs and stream gauges need to be restored and maintained, but additional equipment should be deployed. For example, in Teton County this year, above 8,000 feet where the SNOTELs are, the snowpack was reading at just above normal or at normal. Compared to the valley floor, which was at about 300% of normal level, and this will create saturated soils with no room for spring runoff. This situation makes it more difficult to predict the level of possible flooding. Stream gauge funding at the federal level needs to be rethought. A clearer funding mission and expedited implementation would aid all users of this critical data. Comparatively speaking, 2019's potential flood season for Wyoming is not as severe as previous years. We're still monitoring additional snow accumulation, temperature forecasts, and any anticipated rain on snow events throughout the summer. In the past decade, we have worked closely with the Army Corps in more than 25 technical and direct assistance projects through the state in all 23 counties, including the Wind River Reservation. As with any relationship, there's always opportunities for improvement. We can identify 3 areas for improvement with our relationship with the Corps. First, the Snake River system. Better communication and stakeholder engagement at the local level when evaluating water management strategies for Jackson Lake in the spring and early summer is very important. The potential for flooding on the Snake River can create fear in residents and property owners downstream. There's a lack of public confidence that the Corps considers the impact of downstream tributaries when calculating Jackson Lake releases into the Snake River. Secondly, Glendo Reservoir. We support the implementation of Forecast-Informed Reservoir Operations, or FIRO, in Wyoming, as demonstrated at the Lake Mendocino Reservoir in California. Our arid western climate, water management is the key. Lastly, Bighorn Reservoir, implementation of a regional sedimentation management plan in the Bighorn Reservoir will be very beneficial to ensure the restoration of active water capacity as originally designed. While we've highlighted these 3 actions, the application of these solutions combined could receive exponential benefits for the state. Lastly, funding the fight against aquatic invasive species. With our office's dual mission of emergency management and homeland security, we have the mission of critical infrastructure protection, specifically the water sector. Wyoming sits at the headwaters state of the nation. Rivers flow downstream to the Missouri, Platte, Mississippi, Colorado, Snake, and Columbia watersheds. Quagga and zebra mussels represent the most immediate and imminent AIS threat to Wyoming. We don't have those in our state yet, but Colorado, Utah, South Dakota, and Nebraska do. These mussels are choking off the water supply, or can choke off water supply pipelines for industry and municipalities, and have other major economic impacts for our state and others. Wyoming's AIS prevention program started in 2010 with public outreach, watercraft inspections, and monitoring of waters. Every water user in Wyoming and every other state that benefits from Wyoming waters will be impacted if these species make their way to the Wyoming water system. Stable funding for these prevention programs is imperative. Overall, Wyoming has a very strong relationship with the Corps. We look forward to continuing the development of new projects in order to better protect the residents of Wyoming and their property.